Hey, Kris here. Welcome to 5 Minute Church. See all these books I've written? You ought to have one, shouldn't you? Let me know about it. Talking this week on Don't Worry, Be Happy, and casting all our care on Him, for He cares for us. I don't know how many of you that live in Kansas, Missouri, this area, that have driven through Kansas City. You know, years ago, it's almost like for 20 years on the freeways, they're covered with orange barrels and cones and construction zone. One day I was driving from KC over to Overland Park. 4 lanes became 2 lanes. I had a semi-truck in front, one at the side, one behind. It was kind of a precarious situation. When we got through that zone, there was an orange flashing sign that said, "Don't worry, be happy." That's what I want to talk about today. Bobby McFerrin's song, his first verse says this: "In every life we have some trouble. When you worry, you make it double. Don't worry, be happy." Number 1, don't make such a big deal about such a little deal. I'm going to quote Shakespeare today. He said, "Nothing comes from nothing." Well, if it's nothing, then don't make it something, okay? It's not that big of a deal. God is the big potentate. Everything else is just small potatoes. And when Jesus faced his storm, he didn't tell God how big his problem was. He told his problem how big God was, said, "Peace, be still," and the storm became a calm. Now, our problem is that we overestimate the problem and underestimate the power of our God. Jesus said that you can't turn one gray hair black. Now, I'm sure you can turn a black hair gray. And then he said you can't add a cubit to your stature. And in Luke 12, verse 26, this is the New Living Translation, he said, if worry can't accomplish a little thing like that, then what's the use worrying about the big things? Listen, it's all just small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff. Second, today is the tomorrow that you were worrying about yesterday. Think about that. Are you alive this morning? Do you have a pulse? Well, that means that all of the load of care that you carried yesterday was a waste of your time. I want to do an experiment. Backtrack in your mind to 1 year ago today and tell me what it was that you were worrying about. Oh, you can't remember that, can you? Why? Because care vanishes into the air. Poof, it's gone. It vanishes away. So don't worry about it. Don't worry, be happy. Number 3, instead of being careful, try being prayerful. In Philippians 4:6, our text this week, be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God. You know, we need to wrap our care in our prayer. Too many people are prayer warriors. They're not prayer warriors. Instead of using prayer as a weapon against the enemy, they end up and their prayers becomes a big laundry list, a long shopping list. Really, it becomes just a bunch of complaints and grievances, and you're worrying instead of warring. And then number 4, the things we worry about are just that. Things. I said they're just things. Listen to what Jesus said about the last days. This is Luke 17:31. In that day, he who is upon the housetop and his stuff in the house, let him not come down to take it away. Did you hear that? His stuff in the house. It's only stuff. What do they say about paper? It's just, or about money. It's just paper. And Hebrews chapter 10, verse 34, you endured joyfully the spoiling of your goods, knowing in yourselves that you have in heaven a better and an enduring substance. Down here is just temporary. Up there is eternal. Let me give you another verse from Bobby McFerrin's song. He said, ain't got no place to lay your head. Somebody came and took your bed. Don't worry, be happy. The landlord say your rent is late. He may have to litigate. Don't worry, be happy. Then number 5, let me close with this. Happy is a decision. It is not a deduction. It's not a matter of circumstance. It's not a matter of happenstance. It's a matter of taking a stance. Having done all to stand, stand therefore. Now let me close with Jeremiah 17 verse 8. He shall be as a tree planted by the waters that spreads out her roots by the river and shall not see when the heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and listen to this, and shall not be careful in the day of drought, neither cease from yielding her fruit. In other words, you don't have to be careful in the day of drought. You can turn your cares over to the Lord and know that He's got it all under control. You lose control, He still has it under control. Kris here, hope you've enjoyed the broadcast this week. Like if you like, share with a friend, and tune in tomorrow for more on Through the Prism of Chrism.